Now, 41 days ago, Mitch Barnhart introduced Mark Stoops as the head coach of the UK football program, and he said that the hiring was part of a process pushing the Cats toward, quote, a championship level. And that quest took another step forward today with the announcement that the school has plans to move forward with a renovation of Commonwealth Stadium, and they have the support of Governor Steve Beshear, Senate President Robert Stivers, and Speaker of the House Greg Stumbo. Beshear made the announcement earlier today in Frankfort, where he was flanked by legislators and university officials from across the state.
These presidents and other leaders from our 8 public four-year institutions are here today with a formal proposal. One that seeks authorization for 6 of those schools to issue bonds worth $363 million for 11 projects. Let me be clear. The schools have identified existing revenue streams to pay off those bonds. No new fees will need to be imposed to support them. And they have 11 shovel-ready projects. These include classrooms and housing as well as student activity space. The list of projects is in the release. Among them are a new science building and expanded business school at the University of Kentucky, as well as a renovation of Commonwealth Stadium.
Now, the Commonwealth piece is just a portion of the proposal that would provide upgrades to a handful of campus buildings, including a new $100 million science building, which would receive $65 million of that funding from UK Athletics. The partnership between academics and athletics is one that UK President Eli Capilouto said is unmatched.
Our athletic department has stepped up for decades. If you look historically, they've been a strong supporter for our scholarship programs on campus. They pay fees for the services we provide centrally, so they've been there all along. As Mitch Barnhart participated, along with all the academic leadership, in forging our plans for the future, he always expressed a willingness to help. As our priorities for these 2 academic projects crystallized, that gave us the opportunity to, designate athletic revenues for a particular project. Well, I'm grateful for the confidence that was expressed in us today, all of our colleges and universities. What I'm really grateful for is to see the bipartisan support for what we're all trying to do.
The biggest component of the proposal, of course, is Commonwealth Stadium, which would receive an upgrade of over $100 million that would add luxury suites, spectator-driven upgrades, and a multi-purpose recruiting room for athletes. Now, UK Athletics Director Mitch Barnhart, who has worked toward this goal for over 15 years, talked about the goals of the project.
We've done some things, a lot of fan amenities. We want to do some things for our fans, but we clearly want to do some things for our players and make sure that they understand that this is about them too. And so there'll be some things in their locker room, media area, training room for game day. Obviously some things in Nutter Training Center for medical care and cardio in our weight rooms and those kind of things. Probably a dining facility for them for training table. That we've got to clean that up and make sure we get that where we want it to be, and some kitchens, some food services. But not the least of which, we're going to make sure that we get some stuff for the fan experience, make sure that our fans get to enjoy that and change the way that looks a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean an expansion in seats. I don't want people to go out and say we're going to go to 80,000 seats, because we're not. I think maybe less is better, so we don't need to be at a number that we can't support. And I think that if you make the seats really, really quality seats and it's an unbelievably good experience when you come in, we need to think more in terms of that rather than more seats.
And if that didn't convince you that this is a giant deal, the fact that we have Ryan Alessi from Pure Politics and Chip Cosby from CN2 Sports on set tonight, that's how big of a deal this is, guys. We'll get to the football component in a second, Chip. I know this is something that's been coming for a long time, but Ryan, you were there today. Fans are excited. Obviously, this is something that's been building, but from the political side of it, is this a realistic project that could come through? Because the lawmakers seem like they're excited as well.
Absolutely, and really all the lawmakers need to do now is just give the approval for the universities to go forward with these projects. And the lawmakers always have to sign off on these things because it takes on debt for the state. Right. So all they have to do is give the thumbs up, and today I counted 32 lawmakers standing behind the governor. There were 17 Republicans, 15 Democrats. You can't get more split than that. So you got bipartisan support, and a lot of these lawmakers have universities in other parts of the state that are standing to get buildings. All of it will be paid for by university funds, no new fees, this thing's going to be a done deal.
And what's the process look like on this? What's the timeline? When will it go to a vote? And when can fans expect to finally receive word that this is happening?
Well, this is probably going to be a tone-setting bill, so I would expect to see this pretty early in February. That's when lawmakers, they're going to take a couple of weeks break, come back in February. They'll probably deal with it then. Once it's signed into law by the governor, once it passes the two chambers, signed into law, it would take effect. It could take effect immediately, depending on how they write it, or in July. But then the universities can start and dig in their shovels.
And it's, Chip, we've talked for so long, I mean, years and years and years about these upgrades, and it's exciting. The hiring of Mark Stoops is such an exciting hire, and now this piece, it feels like Kentucky's moving towards being a legitimate football program. Is this what they need to get over that hump?
No question. Now, just because this is happening doesn't mean that UK is going to be in the Sugar Bowl in 2015, but it's a start. You wouldn't have gotten Mark Stoops without – I think they had to have made Mark Stoops feel comfortable that this was going to happen in order for him to take the job. I know Rich Brooks, that was one of the reasons why he retired, because he didn't feel like the commitment was there to get these projects done. Now that they're done, you know, people can stop using that negative recruiting. I mean, I think one of the things that other coaches would say would be, hey, why go there? They don't care about football. They won't even build a recruiting room. Right. They won't take care of the stadium. Now they can say, hey, we're putting the money in, we're committed, let's move this thing forward. So it's more for perception than anything, but recruiting, a lot of it is perception. So I think it's really a big step for the program.
And speaking of perception, how much has the perception of Mitch Barnhart changed in the last 3 months with the hiring of Mark Stoops and now these upgrades?
Well, I think the two knocks on Mitch was, one, he couldn't fundraise or get anything done as far as football facilities. He's kind of, you know, kicked that notion to the curb with this announcement. Also, people were worried about, could he hire a coach? And I think he made a hire that's gotten a lot of people excited. So it's been a good 2 or 3 month period for Mitch Barnhart, no question.
And now we just got to worry about getting Ryan out to a football game. We'll all go out there together and watch the Cats play. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Good stuff as always.